What is going on, guys? It is week 20 of fantasy hockey, and what that means is we're going to be talking about the teams with the best and worst schedules, the streamers to help you maximize your games, some new must-add players, and some power play updates. Just before we start, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button below if you are not subscribed. Really helps the channel out. Something like 60% of my viewers are not subscribed, so make sure you hit that red subscribe button below. Okay, getting into it, let's talk about the teams with the most off nights for this week. The number one team being the Washington Capitals. They are the only team this week to have 4 games and 4 off nights, so that's going to be fantastic for maximizing your games and in turn maximizing your fantasy points. We also have 4 teams that have 4 games and 3 off nights, which is very solid in itself. The Los Angeles Kings, the New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Anaheim Ducks. We also have the Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights having 3 games and 3 off nights, which is really good for maximizing your games as well. And then finally, we have 2 teams that have 4 games and 2 off nights, those teams being the Winnipeg Jets and the New York Islanders. If you're looking at the schedule this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday are off nights. However, Sunday, there is a chance that you might not have an open roster spot because it is right at that threshold at 8 games. So make sure you check and see which nights you have open roster spots on. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, they're pretty heavy, but maybe you get lucky and have an open roster spot. Just make sure you check it out. Moving on to the teams with the least amount of games, the one team that only plays twice this week is the Utah Hockey Club. So probably not ideal to pick up players from this team in terms of streaming for this week. And if you have a bunch of players on the Utah Hockey Club, that's just bad luck. Moving on to some streamers that you might want to add to maximize your games this week. We're going to start with the Washington Capitals. Like I said, 4 games and 4 off nights. Very solid. Now, it really depends on your league size in terms of which players are going to be available. If you're looking at the top players, it's obviously Ovechkin, Strome, Tom Wilson, John Carlson, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Dubois, I think his roster percentage on Yahoo is like 52%. And this guy is now power play 1. So if this sticks, he's going to be great for the rest of the season, and he should be great for this week as well. So in terms of roster percentage availability, Dubois is probably my favorite streamer for this week. And then you have some other ones, Alexei Protas, who isn't power play 1 and is playing extremely efficiently. I do think he's going to cool down, but he's still playing well. Still a solid stream. Connor McMichael, Jacob Chychrun, who's no longer power play 1, but still solid. And then you have some peripheral guys like Faravari, Roy, etc. In terms of some other streamers that you might want to pick up for the entire week, these players are going to come from the Kings, the Rangers, the Blackhawks, and the Ducks. Lots of options here. Players like Kempe and Fiala might not be available unless you're in a more shallow league. Kopitar, etc. Laferriere, even though he isn't on the line with Fiala anymore, he's still power play 1, so he's line 2, power play 1, puts up solid peripherals, not a bad option. Quinton Byfield's not power play 1, but he's been playing good, gets good ice time. And then you have other players like Trevor Moore, Warren Fogle, Philip Deneau. With the Rangers, obviously you have the top dogs like Panarin and Miller. Doubt they're available unless you're in like a 4-team or 6-team league. But you do have some other options like Zibanejad, who's been playing better. Trocheck, who's power play 1 right now with Chris Kreider out day to day. Not sure if Kreider is going to be back this week. You also have Lafreniere, who's no longer power play 1. They moved up Zach Jones, a defenseman, up to power play 1 in practice. We will see if that sticks. Will Koulé, who puts up good peripherals, and Jones, as I just mentioned, is now power play 1. With the Blackhawks, you have the usual suspects, Bedard, who is not playing well at all. I mean, the Blackhawks, I don't know how many goals they scored last game, the last 2 games, and Bedard has put up no points in those games. But he's still the number 1 option on the Blackhawks, of course. Ryan Donato is playing incredible, amazing peripherals, great ice time. Teuvo Teravainen's playing great. Bertuzzi, Vlasic is now power play 1 with Seth Jones gone. So yeah, there's some solid options on the Blackhawks. And obviously with the Ducks, you have the usual players. They're not really top heavy, but you do have some solid options. Players that could pop off, Troy Terry, Frank Vetrano for those peripherals, McTavish, Carlson, Jackson Lacombe, great option. And then you have peripheral guys like Radko Gudas and Jacob Trouba. So it really depends on your league settings, but in general, all of these players right here on this page, they have 3 off nights this week, and that's solid. Lastly, in terms of the streamers, we do have 2 teams that have 3 games and 3 off nights. Pretty similar to 4 games and 3 off nights in terms of providing value when you're picking them up for the entire week, because it's not like you were going to fit those players with 4 games and 3 off nights into your roster on that heavy night. So yeah, this is still really solid. Canucks, Vegas. With the Canucks, I mean, the Canucks are playing terrible. It's hard to advocate picking up these players, but listen, you do have those off nights. Maybe they can string together some goals. Quinn Hughes might be injured. That might affect their goal scoring, but still, Elias Pettersson is an option. Maybe he can shoot the puck. That would be helpful. Jake DeBrusk is solid. Besser, he might want to perform and up his trade value. I don't know. Philip Hedl is still a solid option. Garland, Sherwood, Hronek. Hronek could be power play 1 with Hughes out. Yeah, they're not bad options. And then with Vegas, you have, the usual players. Hurdle, Stone, Dorofiev, Hannafin, who's now power play 1. Great news for his value. And then you have other players like Barbashev, Petrangelo, McNabb, Howden, Roy, etc. Moving on, let's talk about some power play updates. Lots of updates since the Four Nations break. Lots of injuries, lots of moving pieces. Let's talk about it. Starting with the Boston Bruins, Mason Lohrei has been power play 1 because McAvoy was injured. I talked about this in my buy low, sell high video. But yeah, Lohrei is going to be really solid as long as McAvoy is injured. So please take a look if you haven't. And then you also have Morgan Geekie, who is now line 1 power play 1, moving Zaka down to power play 2. But I do want to mention, guys, Brad Marchand got injured last game. We do not have an update on his status. So that could be interesting. If Marchand is out, Zaka probably gets moved up back to power play 1. But yeah, Geekie's a solid option. With the Carolina Hurricanes, Shane Gostisbehere is back on power play 1. Thank you, Rod Brindamore, for putting him back on power play 1. I understand the Hurricanes power play hasn't been great, but what are we doing here? Why was Burns on there? Anyways, Gostisbehere, if he's available, could be a solid option. His minutes are still trash, but still, he's going to get those power play points. With the Chicago Blackhawks, Alex Vlasic is now power play 1 with Seth Jones out, and I love this for Vlasic's value. His roster percentage is very low. If you need a defenseman, especially if you're in a deeper league like 10 teams or more, 12 teams or more, Vlasic is going to be a fantastic option for you. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to get like 24, 25 minutes a night, good peripherals, power play 1. Definitely take a look. Now, in terms of some more updates with the Buffalo Sabres, we have Alex Tuch on power play 1 with Jason Zucker out day to day. Zucker might get traded, so that would be great for Tuch's value, but Tuch also might get traded, and he's probably getting traded to a team where he's not going to be power play 1. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's what it's looking like right now. For some more updates, we have a big one here. Valeri Nichushkin is now power play 1, which means Arturi Lehkonen is power play 2. This made sense to me, right? Like Nichushkin, as long as he's healthy, he is an absolute monster as a net front player on that power play. So hopefully he can stay healthy, guys. So, yeah, I mean, he's line 2 right now. Ideally, you want to see him be line 1, but regardless, being on this power play 1 is big. His roster percentage is still fairly low on a platform like Yahoo. It's like 50-something%. Please take a look at him. With the Blue Jackets, I just want to mention that Jenner has returned. I talked about him in my buy low, sell high video. Definitely as a must-add player in terms of his peripherals. But he's not power play 1. Jenner is power play 2, which was to be expected, which means that Fantilli is still power play 1. Voronkov is still power play 1. All those guys, it's the same power play unit. With the Dallas Stars, Thomas Harley and Matt Duchene are still power play 1. I thought I mentioned that. With the Florida Panthers, Tkachuk is injured. Don't know when he's going to be back. It could be, not until the playoffs or maybe even, round 2 of the playoffs. And with this move, or with this injury, I should say, Sam Bennett is power play 1. So even though Bennett loses some value, even strength, because he's not playing with Matt Tkachuk, he's playing with like Samoskevich and Evan Rodriguez. Even though that's the case, he's power play 1 now, and he's going to see a lot of ice time. So definitely take a look. One thing I will mention as well, Seth Jones has been acquired by the Florida Panthers, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be power play 1, guys. I mean, it's not like Ekblad has held on to this role in the last 2 or 3 years. Jones is a better skater. I think it makes more sense for Jones to be power play 1, so that's what I expect. I will keep you guys updated. Next, with the Los Angeles Kings, Alex Ferrier is still power play 1. Thought I would mention that. With the Minnesota Wild, Brock Faber is back on power play 1 over Jared Spurgeon. Good news for him. Marco Rossi still power play 1. And then Hino Stroza is power play 1 currently. We'll see how long that lasts. They just acquired Gustav Nyquist, so maybe he gets a crack on that top unit. We will see. With the Nashville Predators, Roman Josi is out week to week. So many defenseman injuries the last 2 weeks. Very tough news. But this bumps up Brady Shea in terms of his fantasy value because Shea is now on that top unit. Don't know how many goals that top unit is going to score, but certainly Shea is worth a look in any leagues with 12 teams or more. Then with the New York Rangers, Zach Jones is power play 1 in practice with Adam Fox out week to week. They're running a 5-forward power play unit, but it looks like they are going to a 1 defenseman, 4-forward unit. So Zach Jones, he's a bump. Could be worth a look in a deeper league. With the Ottawa Senators, Josh Norris, Shane Pinto, and Brady Tkachuk are all back. But the Powerplay 1 still has Drew on that top unit. So Drew, still solid option. Tkachuk is obviously on Powerplay 1. But yeah, right now, Norris is on Powerplay 2. For the second batch of updates for the Penguins, they have Carlson, Crosby, Raquel, Rust, and Kevin Hayes on Powerplay 1. This makes sense, except the last guy. Don't know why Kevin Hayes is Powerplay 1. Malkin is Powerplay 2. I expect this to change, but who knows? With the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have decided to go back to a dedicated first unit. They had Chaffee on there, which hurt Hagel, but Hagel is now back on Powerplay 1, so good news for him. With the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are running a 5-forward power play. They mix it up a tiny bit earlier on, but right now they have Matthew Nyes on that 5-forward power play like they did like a month ago, and they had that for quite a bit, so I expect it to stay the same. With the Utah Hockey Club, Hayden and Nick Schmaltz are Powerplay 1 right now, which means Cooley is Powerplay 2, which is not the best for Logan Cooley. Logan Cooley's been Powerplay 1 for the better part of, 3 or 4 months at this point. But sometimes mid-game, they've been throwing Cooley on that top unit. So I expect him to get back on there, and that means Hayden will probably move down. We'll see. With the Canucks, the power play has been changed constantly, so it's hard to even update you on what's going on. Brock Besser could get moved. Quinn Hughes is injured potentially, so that means Hirona could be power play 1. I'll keep you guys updated when we get more of a consistent power play for this team. And then 2 more teams here, guys. Washington Capitals, Pierre-Luc Dubois is power play 1. That is massive for his value. Not good news for Chychrun, who's power play 2 now. McMichael is power play 2. He got some looks in power play 1 recently. But yeah, this sticks. Very good news for Pierre-Luc Dubois. Definitely a must-add player. And finally, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. Noah Hanifin is power play 1 with Shea Theodore getting injured during the Four Nations break. So definitely a big bump for Hanifin's value. Moving on, let's talk about some forward ads. I really just wanted to include players that I think are under-rostered. Obviously, you have players like Rupe Hintz and Mika Zibanejad and Robert Thomas playing better, and they could be considered a must-add forward, but I don't know. I just would rather focus on players that are clearly under-rostered if you're looking on a platform like Yahoo. So, yeah, let's just read these off here. Kirill Marchenko, he's healthy. I think his roster percentage is like 82%. He is not a player that's playing like an 82% rostered guy. No, he should be 90+% rostered. Line 1, power play 1. The protection's there, guys. I mean, there's really nothing else to say with Marchenko. If he was dropped because he was injured, definitely take a look. Then you have Valeri Nichushkin of the Colorado Avalanche. He was power play 1 last game, guys. He scored on that power play. I expect him to stay there because he's a beast. He's line 2 right now, which isn't great, but he could get a look on line 1 eventually. Regardless, power play 1's big. Definitely a must-add player. Pierre-Luc Dubois, power play 1 now. That's massive. Must-add forward. Sam Bennett on power play 1 now with Tkachuk injured. That increases his value. Matthew Nyes, line 1, power play 1. Under-rostered, in my opinion. Good peripherals. And you have Boone Jenner, line 2, power play 2, but doesn't matter. His ice time is great. His peripherals are insane. Shots, hits, and blocks. Definitely worth a look, depending on your league settings, of course. Ryan Donato, line 1, power play 1, still producing. I thought he was going to cool down. I still think he's going to cool down, but I mean, it's hard to overlook Ryan Donato at this point. Line 1, power play 1, shots, hits, and blocks. Yeah, everything's there with him, under-rostered. Definitely take a look. A couple more players here. Adam Fantilli, line 1, power play 1. Good peripherals, too. I just think he's under-rostered. Brian Rust, he's healthy now. I understand he can't stay healthy, but he's like 42% rostered. He's line 1, power play 1, good peripherals. Kent Johnson, I do think that he is a sell-high player, but he's still worth a look to add if he is available because his roster percentage is so low. So, yeah, it was kind of hard not to include him on here. He looks great out there. He's a young player who is breaking out, who's having a breakout season. And then finally, Morgan Geekie. He's line 1, power play 1 right now. There's really nothing else to be said. He's producing a very low roster percentage. Definitely worth a look in a deeper league. Moving on, let's talk about some defenseman ads, starting with Thomas Harley. He's been on this list for the last month or so just because it's been obvious that he's a must-add defenseman with Heiskanen out, but I want to include him still because if he somehow is still available in a more shallow league, I suggest you take a look. Then we have Seth Jones, who is now a Florida Panther. I expect him to be power play 1 on Florida. Great peripherals, more point production being on Florida than on Chicago. Ice time might go down a little bit, but regardless, this is a good thing for Seth Jones. Drew Doughty, I just think he's under rostered still. It's like 67% on Yahoo. You know, his ice time's elite. Nothing really else to be said there. Noah Hannafin, power play 1 with Shea Theodore out. He's seen an ice time bump. He's finally going to have the opportunity to put up power play points. He's going to be solid for the rest of the year. Mason Lohrei, power play 1 with McAvoy out. Decent peripherals too. Definitely liking what I'm seeing. Jackson Lacombe. Lacombe has been underrated for quite a bit now. He's really producing. I expected production to cool down a bit, but he puts up great peripherals. He gets great ice time, and he looks good out there. So still under rostered, in my opinion. Then you have Alex Vlasic, who is now going to be power play 1 with Seth Jones out. This may be my favorite must-add defenseman, only because of his low roster percentage. It's like 7%. If you need a defenseman, please take a look. Brady Shea of the Nashville Predators. He's power play 1 with Roman Josi out, who is designated out week to week. So a bump for a little bit, definitely. And then Shane Gostisbehere back on power play 1 for Carolina. Brock Faber back on power play 1 with Minnesota. And then finally, Zach Jones of the New York Rangers. I think he's like 0% rostered on Yahoo. He's not going to be a game breaker, or he's not going to put up elite peripherals, but if he's power play 1, he's going to have that power play point production. So in a deeper league, he's definitely worth a look. All right, finally, I just want to talk about one goalie ad. I could have included some other names on here, but I just wanted to include one obvious one, and that goalie is Karel Vejmelka of the Utah Hockey Club. He's getting a lot of volume, he's playing better, and his roster percentage is pretty low, so I think he's worth a look depending on your league size and depending on your league settings. All right, guys, that is the end of the video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.